the WNBA Executive Committee has been authorized to call a strike when necessary.
They need to be very careful. They're walking on thin ice right now. I want those ladies to make as much money as possible. I know they're doing some great things, but you can't overplay your hand.
In 24 hours, the WNBA could be dead. Not dead like, oh, the ratings are down dead. I'm talking about the league that just had the most successful season in its history. The league that finally got mainstream attention. The league that everybody's been waiting 28 years to see take off. That league might literally cease to exist. And the craziest part, the players are the ones that are about to pull the trigger. Because right now, as I'm recording this, WNBA players are literally 1 day away from potentially going on strike. And if that happens, everything they've built, all the momentum from Caitlin Clark, all the record viewership, all the expansion teams paying $250 million to join, all of that could disappear overnight. Now stick with me here because I'm going to show you exactly what the players are demanding, why the league is saying no, and most importantly, the number that proves these players are about to make the biggest mistake in women's sports history.
Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you've been noticing what's going on with the WNBA, but they're about to ruin a league that they complained that nobody was supporting, and then people started coming to support. They got some eyes. They got one or two superstars, quote unquote, with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And now in true typical female fashion, they have become ungrateful and overvalue what they really bring to the table and to sports. Before I start this video, the WNBA has never since its genesis, since day one, been a profitable league. They stay afloat because they are subsidized, meaning the NBA gives the WNBA money in order to stay afloat. And true typical female nature, it's never enough. Let's get straight into the video.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The WNBA and the players have been negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement for over a year now. The original deadline was October 31st. They missed it. They extended to November 30th. Missed that too. Now they pushed it to January 9th, which is literally tomorrow. And here's the scary part. They're not even close to a deal. Just the other day, Nafisa Collier went on Good Morning America and said,
"We're a little bit of a standstill. You know, our timeline is coming up in a couple of days. It's gonna expire."
A standstill with a day to go. That's not good. But just hours later, Breanna Stewart, who's the vice president of the Players Union, told Ball is Life that she's very confident a deal will get done.
I mean, the next 3 days is tough for sure. I am very confident that we will get a deal done.
So you've got one star saying that they're at a standstill, another one that's saying that they're confident. That tells me that nobody actually knows what's about to happen, and that is terrifying. Now here's where this gets real. Back in December, the players did something that's never happened in WNBA history. They voted to authorize a strike, and this wasn't some close vote either. 93% of eligible players participated, and 98% of them voted yes. 98%! That's basically everybody. Let me be clear about what this means. This doesn't mean they're on strike right now. It means the 7 players on the executive committee now have the power to call a strike whenever they want. They can do it Friday, they can do it tomorrow, they can do it right now if they feel like it. The Players Union put out a statement calling this vote an unavoidable response to the state of negotiations.
You know what's crazy? I don't understand. I'm gonna back it up a little bit, and I'm not gonna keep pausing it, but I don't understand how the ladies can't see that they can't earn more. You can't take out of the pot if there's nothing in the pot. No one wants to watch the WNBA. That means that you have no viewers. No viewers means no advertisements, and that means no dollars. So if there are no advertisement and no dollars, how can we give you more money from if there is no more money?
The WNBA and its teams. They said the league has shown a resistance to change and a recommitment to the draconian provisions that have unfairly restricted players for nearly 3 decades. Draconian. That's a really strong word. That's a we're ready to go to war kind of word. Okay, so what are the WNBA stars actually fighting about? Well, it's simple. They're only fighting about money. And that's a way to simplify everything, but it's way more complicated than that. See, it's not just about how much the players get paid, it's about how they get paid. And this is where things get really interesting. Right now, WNBA players get about 9 to 10% of league revenue. The league's supermax salary in 2025 was $249,244. The average salary was $120,000. The The minimum was just $66,000. That's why half the league still plays overseas in the offseason, because they literally can't survive on their WNBA salary alone. So what do the players want? They want 30% of gross revenue. That's all the money the league brings in before any expenses are paid. They want a piece of the whole pie, not the crumbs that are left over after everyone else eats. And what is the league offering? Here's where it gets pretty crazy. The WNBA's latest proposal would actually give players over 70% of net revenue. That's after expenses. It would raise maximum salaries from $249,000 to over $1.3 million, potentially growing to nearly $2 million over the life of the deal. Average salaries would jump from $120,000 to over $530,000. Minimum salaries would go from $66,000 to over $250,000. Let me say that again. The league is offering more than quadruple maximum salaries, more than quadruple average salaries, and almost quadruple minimum salaries.
They're insane if they don't take it. They're insane if they do not take it. This is what I'm telling you, man. Whenever you let ladies lead something, they're going to destroy it. They have a good thing going on right now. They have a good thing and they're about to destroy it and have nothing. They're going to go from making, even if you were earning $100,000 a year, right? You're about to go from earning $100,000 a year to earning nothing. Now your entire life, your entire playing is going to have to be moved overseas.
And the craziest part is the players still said no. As a matter of fact, they didn't even just say no, they called this a slap in the face. Now here's the number that explains why there's such a huge gap. The players want 30% of gross revenue, but the league says that would cost them $700 million in losses over the life of the deal. The players union called that number absolutely false and said their proposal would actually leave the league in a profitable position. So someone's lying here, or at least someone's doing very creative math. Here's the fundamental disconnect that nobody wants to talk about. The players are looking at the NBA model, where players get about 50% of the revenue. They see that and say, we deserve the same thing. But here's what they're missing. The NBA is profitable and the WNBA is not. The WNBA has never, in 28 years of existence, turned a profit. They lost $40 to $50 million even during their best season ever in 2024. Record attendance, record viewership, Caitlin Clark mania, and they still lost money. The NBA has been subsidizing this league to the tune of $10 to $15 million every single year just to keep it alive. So when the players say they want 30% of gross revenue, they're asking for 30% of money that doesn't actually exist as profit. They're asking for a bigger slice of a pie that's currently in the red. Now the players are counting on expansion fees to help. 6 new teams are joining the league and they're paying $250 million each. That's over $1 billion. But the league says that money doesn't work the way players think it does. New teams pay the fee, but then they get a share of future revenue, while existing teams get a portion of the fee but lose a share of future revenue. It basically balances out to nothing. Terry Jackson, the executive director of the Players Union, put it like this: the players want a meaningful share of the revenue they are creating. They want to be properly valued in these negotiations and this next CBA. They do not want to be paid last with only a fraction of the dollars left over. I get that. I really do. But you can't be paid first from a company that's losing money. That's not how business works. Now, if you want to understand why the WNBA's finances are such a mess, check out my previous video on the Caitlin Clark effect and how the league fumbled its biggest opportunity. I'll leave a link in the end screen for you guys. But let me tell you about what Caitlin Clark said about all of this, because it might be the most important thing anyone has said in these negotiations. Back in December at USA basketball camp, Clark was asked about the CBA and she didn't hold back.
I think the most important thing for myself, thinking about these CBA negotiations, like, this is the biggest moment the WNBA has ever seen, and it's not something that can be messed up.
Did you catch that? It's not something that can be messed up. The biggest star in women's basketball history is literally warning everyone, don't screw this up.
She knows it's because she knows that they're going to screw it up. She can see the writing on the wall. I think I'm not going to say majority. I think a lot of the other women see it too. Even though 98% of the people, of the girls said like, yeah, we're down for this strike. A lot of them say like, listen, man, we have a sweet gig going on. A lot of these women have common sense and see that, okay, we're not earning any money. We're in a good spot because they're paying us, even though we aren't earning the company any money. But, and you know how women are. They're gonna stick with the sisterhood. They're gonna stick with the sister code. And they're about to do something that will completely destroy everything that they worked for and the women that came before them worked for.
Not all Clark would say. What she said next is even crazier.
We're gonna fight for everything that we deserve, but at the same time, like, we need to play basketball. That's what our fans crave, and that's what all of you crave as well, is you want the product on the floor. And at the end of the day, that's how you make the money, that's how you're marketable, that's what the fans get excited about, that's what the fans want to show up for.
Think about that for a second. Caitlin Clark is telling her fellow players, look, we deserve more money, but if we don't play, we don't get anything. No games means no revenue. No revenue means no leverage. No leverage means this whole thing collapses. She's the one player who truly understands what's at stake here because she is the product. She's the one that's generating all of this attention. And here's what's wild. Some people actually criticized Caitlin Clark for saying this. They said she was going against the union, but the WNBA literally reposted her comments on their social media. Nneka Ogwumike, the union president, came out and backed her up. She said, we're looking for a good deal to get done, but I think we're also prepared for whatever it takes for that to happen, while also understanding that we want a 2026 season. Even the union knows that a strike would be catastrophic. If you want to know what's at stake, look no further than 1994, because baseball was demolished in 1994, and this is a cautionary tale that should terrify every single WNBA player. In the summer of 1993, Major League Baseball had just set an attendance record. The sport was booming, fans were going crazy. Baseball was America's pastime, the national sport, bigger than the NFL, bigger than the NBA. Then on August 12, 1994, the players went on strike. The rest of the season was canceled. The World Series canceled. It was the first time in 90 years that there was no World Series. The strike lasted 232 days and wiped out over 900 games. And here's what happened next. Fans were furious. When players came back in 1995, people showed up to games just to boo them. They threw stuff on the field. They wore shirts about greed. They held up signs with dollar signs. The trust between baseball and its fans was shattered. And if you guys want to see more baseball content, check out our brand new baseball channel, Uni Diamond Talk. I'm going to leave a link to that in the end screen as well and in the description down below. But that's besides the point. Baseball went from being America's #1 sport to getting passed by the NFL and NBA. And guess what? They've never come back. 30 years later, baseball still hasn't recovered its position as a
And that's 30 years later. And that's baseball, which is America's pastime sport. It's supposed to be America's #1 pastime sport is baseball. And you think that the WNBA is going to be able to come back after? No, first of all, already nobody cares about it. Already nobody cares about it. Even with Caitlin Clark bringing a lot of eyes to it, still the numbers were down. They didn't earn any type of profit. They didn't even earn $1 in profit. And you think you're going to strike and people are just going to go insane until they see the women play basketball again? Is that what you think is going to happen? Come on, man.
America's top sport. That momentum they had, gone forever. It took Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's home run chase in 1998 just to get people interested again. And we all know how that story ended. The Montreal Expos had the best record in baseball when the strike hit. They were World Series favorites. The strike destroyed them so badly that the franchise eventually had to relocate to Washington, D.C. An entire franchise was wiped out because of a strike. Now think about this. That was baseball, the #1 sport in America with over a century of tradition. If they couldn't survive a strike unscathed, what do you think happens to the WNBA? A league that's 28 years old and has never made money. A league that just now started getting mainstream attention. They don't have decades of goodwill to fall back on. They have 2 years of Caitlin Clark hype. That's it. Now, some players think they have leverage because of alternative leagues. You've got Unrivaled, which is that 3-on-3 league that Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart co-founded. Players there are making an average of $220,000 for just an 8-week season. Then you've got Project B, which is launching in November 2026 and has reportedly offered players salaries worth millions. So the thinking is, if the WNBA doesn't pay us, we'll just go somewhere else. But here's the problem with that logic. Unrivaled is an 8-week off-season league. It's not a replacement for the WNBA. Project B doesn't even exist yet. And those overseas leagues that pay big money, they're subsidized by wealthy owners as hobbies or government sports programs. They're not sustainable businesses. More importantly, and this is the part that nobody wants to hear, none of those leagues have Caitlin Clark. The WNBA's entire value proposition right now is Caitlin Clark playing against Angel Reese playing against Asia Wilson. That's what draws the ratings. That's what sells the tickets. If you split those players up across 3 different leagues, you've destroyed destroyed the only thing that was working. It would be like if the NBA fell apart and LeBron went to one league, Steph Curry went to another, and Giannis went to a third. Yeah, you could still watch basketball, but it wouldn't be the same. The product would be worse, the excitement would be gone, and eventually all three leagues would fail because none of them would have enough star power to sustain interest. And here's something else. Caitlin Clark isn't even in Unrivaled. She's not planning to play anywhere else. Her earning potential is tied directly to the WNBA. She made $16 million off the court last year in endorsements, and all of that.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You mean to tell me that Caitlin Clark made $16 million? She made $16 million off the court? I'd be like, I don't care what y'all do, man. I don't care what y'all do. Y'all gonna blow up every WNBA court. I don't care. I don't care. I got my money. I'm chilling. And plus, they snubbed her for the All-Star game. But that's another topic. Let's keep it going.
From having a platform in the WNBA. If the WNBA goes away, that platform goes away too. So let's say the worst happens. Let's say January 9th comes and goes with no deal and the players decide to strike. What happens then? First, the expansion draft for Toronto and Portland gets delayed or canceled. Those two teams already pay $250 million each to join the league, and they might not even have players to draft. Free agency gets thrown into chaos. About 80% of WNBA players become free agents this offseason, and they'd have nowhere to sign. The season, which is supposed to start in May, could be delayed or canceled entirely. All those sponsors who signed deals based on Caitlin Clark's ratings, they're gonna want their money back. All those TV networks who agreed to that new $2.2 billion media deal, they're gonna have second thoughts real quick. And the three new expansion teams that are supposed to join in 2027, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Cleveland, they're each paying $250 million to join a league that might not even exist. You think they're gonna follow through on that if there's a strike? You think any investor is gonna put money into a league where the players are willing to blow the whole thing up? This could very well be the end of the WNBA. Here's the ultimate irony of this whole situation. The players are fighting for more money because the league is finally successful. But if they strike, they destroy the very success that gave them leverage in the first place. Think about the timing here. The WNBA just signed a $2.2 billion media deal that kicks in this year. That's $200 million annually, 6 times what they were getting before. Franchise values are exploding. The Las Vegas Aces went from a $2 million purchase to a $310 million valuation. 6 teams are paying a combined $1 billion just to join. That's insane growth. That's generational opportunity. And what are the players doing? Threatening to walk away from all of it because they want a bigger percentage. Not bigger salaries. The league has already offered to quadruple those. They want a bigger percentage. They want the structure of the deal to look like the NBA's deal. Even though the WNBA's economics are nothing like the NBA's economics. Terry Jackson said that the players would not have opted out of the 2020 CBA with a fixed salary system giving them less than 10% of the revenue that their labor drives, only to agree to a salary system that is arguably tied to revenue, but now gives them less than 15%. But here's my question. Would you rather have 15% of a growing pie or 30% of nothing?
Exactly. That's the biggest question, or the biggest thing that I'm looking at. Would you rather have a little bit of something or 100% of nothing? And that is what these ladies do not see. A lot of ladies just don't have the forethought. They can't see it unless it's right in front of their face. And I feel bad for a lot of these ladies because they work hard to get here, and now all of this is going to be for naught. Because if they go on strike, I don't know if they've gone on strike yet, but if they do, they might as well just pack it up and just find another career. But guys, that's it for today's video. If you haven't done so, please like this video. Also subscribe, join the community. We're growing slowly but steadily. We're actually growing kind of fast. So yeah, if you want a good video, click this one on your left. If you want a great one, a pretty decent funny one, click this one on your right, and I will see you in another one.